Second part of today's assignment is to be able to add and subtract matrices and to scalar multiply them. There is one main rule that you have to know for adding and subtracting matrices, and that is the dimensions must match. And when I say the dimensions, I'm talking about both the rows and the columns, otherwise you cannot add these. Other than that, you are literally adding element by element. So whatever is in the same place in one matrix gets added to the same place in the other matrix. So as an example, for number 1, this one is in the first row in the first column, this one is in the first row in the first column, so those get added together. So that's 3 plus -3, and the answer would be 0. Okay, second row, first column, second row, first column, 5 and 7, 12. 7 and 2, 9. 1 and 4, 5. And there is your answer of adding the two matrices together. Literally element to element, matching places. And that, because we are adding it based on matching places, is why I cannot add these two matrices. This one has a third column. This one does not. So you literally put no solution. You cannot add those together. All right, so let's try a subtraction one. And if you are one of those that struggles a little bit with your integers, especially those double negatives that were catching you in the last unit with all the double and half and sum and difference, then you might want to make sure you're grabbing your calculator. Okay, since we are subtracting these piece to piece, this is a little like what you would have done back in Algebra 2 with polynomials when you were adding and subtracting them, kind of like having to add and subtract like terms. Well, in this case, like terms means in the same place. Now, so this is 6 minus -3. Okay, again, 6 and -3, and you're subtracting, and that should be 9. 5 and 4, 1, 2 and 4, -2. -4 minus 0 would still stay -4. I don't know if you're going to see the yellow one. 7 and -6 subtracting should be 13. Wow, that is bright. And back to -3 minus 1, -4. Okay, the other option, if you absolutely have a really hard time with subtraction and you're having issues with your double negatives, okay, this is something you were taught way back in middle school, because technically we don't subtract integers, right? That was always that's the same thing about we don't divide by fractions, we multiply by the reciprocal, right? So if you don't like dealing with the subtraction, technically we don't subtract, we add the opposite. You just have to make sure you change all of your signs in the second matrix so that you can do so. And then you're just going to be adding 6 and 3, 5 and -4, 2 and -4, -4 and 0, 7 and 6, -3 and -1. So you're welcome to do it that way if it makes you more comfortable. Make sure you're showing your work though, so that way I can see if you've made a mistake, where the mistake has happened. Okay, so that's basic adding and subtracting. The dimensions have to match, period. Okay, a couple more examples for you to work through. Again, at your own pace, pause the video if you want, and then check your answers afterwards. Giving you a second to pause. Okay, so the answer to that one should be 6464. Okay, and giving you a minute to pause. The answer to this one should be 1, -8, -3, 3. Okay, scalar multiplying next, and again, this is a very short video. Scalar multiplying is, again, it's the distributive property. You are going to take this 2 and multiply it by every single piece in that matrix. So just distribute it out. Okay, so imagine scaling, like, doing the amplitude change on your equations for trig, right? You're scaling something. You're making it either bigger or smaller or negative or whatever you're doing. So, again, if you want to try this, pause the video, come back, we'll put the answer up. -6, 8, 14 times 16, -18 is what you should have gotten. Okay, and we can do this with fractions. Again, I'll go ahead and give you a chance to pause it before I put the answer on here so you can check it. If you have to use your calculator, go ahead. Okay, so that's what you should have gotten multiplying. If you have this as 15/2 and 7/2, that is also fine. Just don't do mixed numbers. It's either decimals or improper fractions, please. Okay, and the last one. Again, I'll give you a chance to pause, come back and check. Okay, so come back, check your answers, should be good to go. The second part of the assignment literally is adding, subtracting, and scalar multiplying. Again, there's 2 pages. It's just practice. If you finish this, then when you come in tomorrow, you'll have the entire class period to do the quiz task that you're being assigned for over the weekend, which means you'll be able to work together, you'll be able to bounce ideas off each other, all that kind of stuff. Now, here's the catch. You will not be able to text me questions and remind. Remember, I'm going to be in court, and I cannot answer my phone. So if you have questions, specific one, do what you can on that task, and then ask me the questions at the end of the day on Thursday when I might actually be able to get to my phone. Other than that, like I said, help each other out, work with each other. Again, it is a quiz project grade, so make sure you are getting it done. And then when we get back on Wednesday, we'll get into the making shapes out of matrices and then making the shapes move, which is a lot like what you did back in Algebra 1 when you were moving stuff around the coordinate plane. So, in the meanwhile, be good.